Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
How you guys all doing on this Saturday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is my review of this week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, the June 7th, 2024 edition of SmackDown, and it took place in Louisville, Kentucky. This is actually the last week, of course, of reviews, as when we do Clash of the Castles preview next week. I will be taking my usual break from Raw and SmackDown reviews that week, and just doing the reviews of the preview for the pay-per-view, and reviewing the pay-per-view taking place next Saturday, June 15th, 2024, in Glasgow, Scotland. And it looks like we may have gotten a complete card after this episode of SmackDown. And of course, some teases for some stuff for the future. My overall thoughts, though, on the show. I think compared to last week's episode, it was a little bit better. A little bit better. But SmackDown continues to feel like it's missing something. It's definitely not as popping as Raw is right now. And I thought about this. And I actually did something. Because anymore these days, there's been a lot of blame on Cody Rhodes, not being a great champion. There's also the factor that we do have Logan Paul holding the U.S. title, and he's never there. We got Bayley, who, again, I love Bayley, but she hasn't done much with this reign. And she's having a match against Piper Niven at Clash of the Castle next weekend, which cool, but the problem I have here, the slight problem I have with the card for Clash of the Castle, they're giving a lot of people who are from Scotland, or Glasgow, or whatever the country is, the area. They're giving a lot of people like Piper Niven, Drew McIntyre, the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. A few people opportunities in their home country, which is great. I'm glad they're doing that. My problem is, are they ready for this opportunity? You've pushed Piper Niven off to the side for so long, but now she's getting a women's title shot. But how many matches has she really won to earn this shot? And then also we have the Unholy Union, who was called up last year as the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And I swear, other than Alba Fire being in the Rumble, and then when they wrestled Ronda and Shayna to merge the women's tag titles, have they been on TV at all besides that? I know Isla Dawn was briefly injured, I remember. But yeah, these people are not getting opportunities, or are not getting the chance to grow, develop characters, yet you're giving them these title matches. And I'm not opposed to them getting a shot. No, it's just you couldn't have built them up a little more, if you know what I mean. And I think this the biggest problem SmackDown has right now is the roster is small, but most of the people on the roster are still trying to find their direction. They're still trying to get their way out of the brief Vince McMahon coming back hiatus, where he just destroyed everything again in sight. This roster is full of a ton of people who we know are talented. we know can be main event stars, but they don't have the machine yet, like, running them on that level. They're still getting the cobwebs knocked off them. And I think that's the problem. Like, Cody Rhodes doesn't really have many options on this roster who can believably beat him right now. Sure, they set up a phenomenal match for Clash at the Castle. I did like what they did tonight with that to get that match official, yes. But same time, deep in the back of my head, I'm still thinking, we know for a fact AJ's not going to win. We know for a fact this probably will not give Gallows and Anderson the momentum they deserve. Or they should have gotten and should not gotten cut off in 2016. We have LA Knight who's still hanging on. Yeah, of course, and they're teasing the hell out of a match with him and Logan Paul that I think they should still wait till SummerSlam for. We also have stuff going on with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and A-Town Down Under, which, I'll be honest, I did like what they did tonight, and I'll explain when we get to it. That sparked some interest, but again, DIY, despite the fact that they're starting to cook, they're not sizzling. They still don't feel like what they were in NXT. I mean, then again, we do have the lackluster theme song that's hurting him in one instance. I gotta be honest, the strongest thing I thought on this show, besides the Bloodline, that's another thing too. The best thing on this show, the Bloodline, is still a big focal point, yet for 2 pay-per-views in a row, they didn't have a match. So yes, they did like the anointing ceremony on this episode of SmackDown for Tonga Loa and officially declaring Tama Tonga the new right-hand man. But it's like, okay, it's like, it feels like we're kind of like stalling with that as well until Roman comes back. Which I'm hearing could be within the next month or so. He'll probably be back. He probably will be back for SummerSlam. He could be facing Solo from what I'm seeing that's being teased. Could he? I don't know. Because I'm still hoping we get Cody Rhodes and The Rock at SummerSlam. I don't want to wait till WrestleMania for Cody Rhodes and The Rock. That should be SummerSlam's main event. But again, it's a roster that has some big names on it, but it's also a roster that's full of a ton of stars who just aren't quite there yet on that main roster level. Because I even looked over this to see, well, who is there really for Cody Rhodes to have an interesting story with? And there's really not many people at all in this roster. Eventually, like, for crying out loud, I would love to see Cody Rhodes versus Johnny Gargano, or Cody Rhodes versus Tommaso Ciampa, Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes in a pay-per-view match. We got a preview for it. But again, it's like there's just not a lot of depth on this SmackDown roster. And that's sad. But it was a solid show. Again, I liked it better than last week. But again, it just still has its problems. And that's why I'm also hoping at Clash at the Castle, some of these people who have not been given the opportunities, that are being given opportunities for this show, I hope they capitalize. And I hope they gain some sort of momentum out of this. So, that's what I'm hoping for. But we're going to get in and talk about the show. The show opened up with the Bloodline coming out for the anointing ceremony. Paul Heyman, of course, has the mic, and Solo launches into his... Heyman goes to his usual intro. He tells us this is a double proclamation. He introduces Tama Tonga, already anointed a full-fledged member of the Bloodline, but now he will be known as the right-hand man. He also calls attention to Tonga Loa and drums him into the Bloodline and tries to call it a night. But then Solo's like, no, we're not going there yet. Obviously, Heyman, who is scared to death of Solo, but Solo's like, no, not going there yet. He goes, are you forgetting something? And Heyman's like, And Solo tells him, thank the guys for saving you from Kevin Owens last week. Heyman thanks Tonga Loa, and Loa steps aside. Then he thanks Tama Tonga. But Tama Tonga won't accept it until he acknowledges him as the right-hand man. which he does. And Tama then says, we could have let KO destroy you, but we decided to save you because it was orders of the tribal chief. Heyman wants to return the favor to the family and says he got here early today to do wise man things. And he's been hearing since he arrived is that Kevin Owens is looking for a piece of any member of the Bloodline. It was also declared as well that Sikoa is the interim tribal chief until Roman Reigns comes back. Although, of course, Solo kind of fired some shots towards Roman in that main event. But Kevin Owens comes out looking to fight the Bloodline, just leading to the Street Profits to come out and make the save. There's a backstage segment where Solo tells Heyman to make the 6-man tag, or if not, then tonight's main event is going to be Paul Heyman versus Tama Tonga in the locker room. And then, just to skip ahead, but the main event was in fact the Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and the Street Profits. And it was fine. I mean, the most notable thing out of it was the fact that Solo didn't... Well, it ended in a DQ because Chair's weapons got involved. But Solo, though, decided to tease some Roman Reigns moves, as for the first time, he hits one of the faces with a spear. They also had all three members hit Kevin Owens with a triple power bomb through the table like the Shield would. So is that Solo firing shots at Roman? Again, is the secret that The Rock's been, working with them, and this is like The Rock's, plan, not Roman's? I don't know. But it's starting to feel like a little bit like this Bloodline story is stalling a little. Because, no offense, I love Kevin Owens, but how many more times is he going to fight the Bloodline and lose? Like, I feel maybe that they were trying to do maybe the Bloodline versus, like, the Pride, but Bobby Lashley, of course, is hurt right now. So maybe Kevin Owens is filling in for him, but again, it's starting to feel like it's like what the storyline now is like, okay, move on to something else. I mean, yes, we're getting progression with, Tama Tonga being the right-hand man, the anointing of Tonga Loa. Still don't know where Jacob Fatu is, but it seems like they're more and more teasing to either a match at SummerSlam between Roman and Solo, or could we be getting that Bloodline Civil War? Which I think, here's what I'm going to predict. And this is what could set up for the Roman and Rock match at WrestleMania. SummerSlam. We could do, even though they got to start, building the bonds back up again, we could do Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Sikoa and then Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. That could be where Jacob Fatu debuts. And he helps the new Bloodline win. War Games, you could have it be the new Bloodline, all four members, Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, the Usos, and The Rock. And that match, The Rock costs Roman and the Usos the match. And that could plant the seeds for a WrestleMania match. That for Roman and The Rock. That is where I thought about where this could go. But again, right now it feels like until one of them come back, Rock or Roman, they're kind of stalling a little, going a little bit in circles, or it may just be me. But it's just weird that it's the best thing on the show, yet 2 pay-per-views in a row, they don't have a match. And they're still fighting the same people. I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out there. But that was what made happen with the Bloodline tonight. We have a backstage where Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are walking around. And then they have a match with Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. Originally, it was supposed to be Indi and Jade, but then somehow they got changed to a tag match. The titles were on the line. Randomly, though, Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark and the Unholy Union both show up, where I'm like, aren't they on Raw? Because, again, the tag champs have a reason to appear on both shows. But why did they not, even acknowledge the fact that both tag teams, the Unholy Union, Shayna and Zoey, both kind of crashed the show and didn't get reprimanded for it? But Bianca and Jade still win. Afterwards, though, they basically get beaten down, but then they basically go to Nick Aldis and they make the triple threat match official for Clash at the Castle. Again, Bianca and Jade probably aren't dropping those tag titles anytime soon, but hopefully it's a chance for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn to at least, get, an opportunity in their home country. We had Nick Aldis walking up to Cody Rhodes, who is waiting for AJ Styles to arrive. And he is fuming. Cody says he knows how he feels. Nick Aldis tells Cody he knows how he feels. AJ played him too, but it's not in the company's best interest for them to fight in the loading dock. Cody tells him someone's going to get hurt, and it's not him. And Nick should know better than anyone that he's got to step outside of this and let them handle it. Oh, yeah. And then remember last week when I said Apollo Crews is going to get a match back-to-back weeks? Yeah, it didn't happen because Apollo Crews was getting ready to be interviewed because he was supposed to have a match with Angel Garza. But before he even say anything, they attack him. Legado del Fantasma jump him. And they basically cancel the match. So I don't know if that's just sending Apollo back to catering or if he actually is. Like I said last week, I want to believe Apollo Crews is going to get a direction in WWE. I've kind of given up, though, on it. Like I said, I just feel like they've tried everything with him. And even the characters that they've actually given him TV time for haven't really, knocked it out of the park. Because I'm kind of surprised that they've kept him this long. But who knows? Maybe this will still lead to something, but I doubt it. This could have been them just writing him back off TV and sending him back to catering. Maybe, who knows? But that match got canceled. And in the midst of all that, LA Knight rolls up. And he's like, well, where's Logan? Explain why he's not here again. And apparently, they said the reason why was because Logan Paul was playing Tetris. And that's why he didn't show up. And he even had a promo later where he basically cut acknowledging what LA Knight's been saying about him. Expressing that there's going to be a long-term story. So that was interesting. But during all of this, though, Carmelo Hayes rolled up and said why everything isn't about him. And LA Knight says he thinks he has a match to fill the gap that Aldis suddenly has. So they make a match between LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes for later in the show. Before we got there, though, we had Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. Now, originally, I was not too thrilled with the idea of doing this match. Because, like I said, there is a history with Johnny Gargano and both Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. He has history with both of them. Which I thought could lead to a decent feud between them and A-Town Down Under. But so far, it was mainly just, okay, 1 week, one member fights the other from each team. And then the other two fight next week. So I'm like, is this all we're going to do? But at least this kind of still has some storytelling going. Because Grayson Waller won, first off. He used Austin Theory as a shield. So, to me, I kind of like that because we've had some occasional teases of some, not being on the same page with DIY. Which could play into their eventual split again. Like I said, I don't want it to be full-on nostalgia and repetitive, but now I feel like they're making the possible moments of cracks forming, for both teams, of course, a little more obvious. So I do like that, Johnny lost, because how do we not know Tommaso Ciampa, who did beat Austin Theory last week? How do we not know he's not going to snap on Johnny anytime soon? This could be just like building up for when that moment when Ciampa finally explodes on Gargano. Because Johnny losing be an underdog style, that's totally fine. And also, they're still teasing cracks in A-Town Down Under. Starting last week where Grayson Waller said he's basically reviving Austin Theory's career. So that could probably lead to maybe a SummerSlam match or something. I don't know. But anyways, Grayson Waller does win the match. And like I said, it's kind of interesting, how this went down. So we'll see where this goes. And I can still be honest, though. I still wish they wouldn't have split the tag titles. Giving them a new belt, yes. But it still feels like these tag divisions are very lackluster. Just my opinion, though. Backstage, AJ Styles was arriving. And Nick Aldis was trying to avoid things getting out of hand. So Cody then storms off and gets in the ring. And he basically was just like, okay, we can't do it there, but we're going to do it here. He calls AJ Styles out to the ring. The OC minus Mia Yim come out. As security guards ran past them to separate them from each other. AJ says he doesn't care what Cody wants. Cody gives him a title shot, but not in any regular match. He gives, basically, it's the whole, I want a match, you got it. Of course, if you want, I think Cody did say, if you did want another shot, all you had to do was ask, which again, I hate that. Shouldn't he have to earn it? But, obviously, he wanted to piss off Cody Rhodes. And he succeeded. Cody wasn't being, the modern day John Cena and cutting these promos everything's great, this and that, being the little too happy person basically at how John Cena was. He's showing some side of getting angry, showing some fire, which he should show more often. But he calls out AJ Styles and he accepts giving him another shot at the world title, but this time he's going to make AJ say the words he should have said last week. I quit. So that, which I think that should open the show, because I still want to see Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre main event Clash at the Castle. But that I quit match, again, despite the fact that I know AJ is not going to win, I still think this will be an absolutely awesome match. Could this be leading to AJ's real retirement, though? We'll have to wait and see, though. But, yeah, had some fire there, a good promo there, and a great match. But again, it's the same thing. Is AJ Styles, at this point, I don't see him ever beating Cody. But, we'll have to see what it is. And, of course, afterwards, they were trying to pull them off a couple times, and they were fighting security and all this jazz, blah, 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 whatever. Carmelo Hayes and LA Knight had their match. Thought maybe they would wait until Clash of the Castle. Match was good. LA Knight, though, does win by a roll-up, I think it is. Afterwards, though, he goes to cut the promo, and he says he'll play a game with Logan Paul. If he don't want to come to SmackDown, he'll bring SmackDown to Logan. Does that mean LA Knight's going to crash Logan Paul's house? Maybe. We'll see. We had a backstage where Tiffany Stratton, who was wearing a very fine black outfit, by the way, she walks up to Nia Jax and tells her she has her back. And basically says, you're the queen, why can't I be the princess? Which implies to me also that we're probably going to see Tiffany Stratton win Miss Money in the Bank, as she should, I feel like. But as she walks away, here comes Mia Yim. And Nia tells her to take a page out of AJ's book and actually retire. Then Mia throws her drink in Nia's face. Then Nia slams her into a table and slips on the ice in the process. And of course, the crew ends up holding them back while Mia tells her to keep AJ's name out of her mouth. Again, where does she stand with all this? Now that, again, everybody but her are heels now, I don't know. But that's set up for a match between them next week. Also, Michin will be competing this Sunday, tomorrow at NXT Battleground, which I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'll get to watch it. I'm probably going to get to watch it tomorrow. I'm kind of tempted to check it out. Maybe I will and do a brief review on it. We'll see. But yeah, she's having the match there, and then she's going to be on next Friday. And after she, of course, battles for the Women's North American Championship in NXT. Okay, then we got the promo with Bayley and Piper Niven. And again, same thing with Bayley. Like, I feel like, if anything, I feel like the women's roster has a little more depth than the men's roster. But again, even Bayley like has had like no story, no character development at all since winning the title, which really sucks. But anyways, she goes out there and she's about to talk about how she's going to fight Piper Niven for the very first time. But Chelsea and Piper come out. Chelsea's calling her a loser several times and says Piper's going to finish her and then they'll become the women's champion. Bayley says she respects Piper, but she's going to have fun beating her in her own country next week, which leads to Piper taking the microphone out of Chelsea's hands and says she embarrassed her last week, and next week she's going to beat the brakes off her. She talks about how Bayley, of course, mentioned the Mae Young Classic, but that was 7 years ago. And she's been putting Scottish wrestling on the map since 2008. She was a trailblazer, winning titles before she even ever stepped through the door to WWE. And if Bayley had an idea how dangerous she is, she wouldn't dare to stand so close to her. She's going to drill her head into the mat and take her title. And she hopes her respect for her eases that pain a little bit. And they have a little bit of like a stare down and whatnot. So, good promo by Piper. She doesn't really get a chance to talk too much. But like I said earlier, it's like she's been booked like crap for a couple years now. Well, she was fine in NXT UK. And then when they brought her to the main roster as Eva Marie's sidekick, well, basically she did the wrestling, but Eva took the credit. And of course they called her Dude Drop Good! I don't miss Vince McMahon. She really just hasn't had much of a shot. I still say make her a babyface again. I think she needs that babyface turn, because this heel run just has not worked out for her at all. Anyways, we had the Logan Paul doing his promo from playing Tetris and whatnot. We also have Naomi having a backstage promo where she heard what Chelsea and Piper were saying, and she needs to keep her name out of her mouth because they did take a shot at Naomi, and that sets up for a match between Naomi and Chelsea Green next week. I think it's the only two matches that were announced so far. For next week, there's 2 women's matches. Then we had the main event, and we all already talked about how that ended. And that was SmackDown. Like I said, there was some stuff I liked. But again, there's just still stuff something's missing still. Like I said, again, like the depth just needs to build. These characters need to season more. And then I think we could have a little more of a fun show. But right now, getting just like solid to decent episodes, nothing really harmless, just it could be better. But I gave SmackDown a B- this week. A B- for SmackDown. What are your guys' thoughts on SmackDown for the week? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. I may try to get a couple shorts out tonight as well. Most of them are AEW stuff. Also, I want to get out a little piece of news about Ricochet that I heard as well. But that will hopefully be tonight. And again, I'm working on more Wolfenstein. I did just complete the next part of Roller Coaster Tycoon, so I'll try to get that one edited and uploaded the next few days as well. And yeah, this coming week again, it will be Clash at the Castle preview predictions and the review as well coming as well too. Can't talk today. But that's it, guys. I'm checking out. Until then, I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your Saturday evening. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!